Hello everyone, this is Monica from Needle and Paper. Today I wanted to share with you this quick tutorial on how I made this card that features a complete see-through or clear front panel. This was a technique shared by Jennifer McGuire Inc. a while back. I tried it several times in a different way. I gave it my own twist, and I thought it would be a nice thing to use with this Sunshine of Hope um, stamp set from Studio Katia. So you're going to need laminating or thermal laminating sheets. These are 5x7 from Scotch brand. I wanted to use white ink for the flower, for the sunflower, and you're also going to need a piece of cardstock that I had originally chosen a white one. I thought I wanted to do something different, and I changed my mind in the process. So you're going to start by placing open your laminating sheet. And what I did was, I don't think you can appreciate it here, but I folded the top over the platform. So it was not on my way there. There it is. It wasn't on my way when I was stamping because this is a very slippery medium, right? So it doesn't stay still as the cardstock. I inked my image really well. Sometimes if you have a very wet ink pad, it kind of like smears. So this particular one from Hero Arts works really well for this technique. Once you're happy with the impression, then you can go ahead and close the pouch carefully and then run it through the hot laminator. For this technique, I really recommend using the stamping platform if you have one. And there you have it. Your image is in between, actually. It's not on top or on the bottom, it's actually in between the laminating pouch. And here this is when I told you I changed my mind. I'm not using the white cardstock, I'm using that sort of like mustard cardstock. And I wanted to do something different here. I wanted to get the sunflower looking to the other side. This is another technique I had tried before. I stamped on the stamping mat. This is like a silicone rubber mat. And then I place the cardstock on top and then press it down really, really hard. This is this is just like a napkin that allowed me to add more strength and slide um, through the whole surface. I don't see much here, but then when I put the embossing powder, the image reveals and is facing the other side. So if I had stamped directly on the cardstock, the sunflower would have been facing the opposite way. This is just something that I wanted to try. Of course, you can just go ahead and stamp the image um, in the way it goes. I use white embossing powder, as you notice there, to reveal the image. Heat set it, and now I'm using a darker ink just to add a little bit more depth to the edges of this. I just like to do that to create more interest. Then with the same white ink, the same Hero Arts ink, sorry, I added some water and splatter a little. This is a piece of just regular cardstock. This is actually an off-white cardstock. I thought it would look good. I scored every quarter of an inch 4 times and then folded it over as if it was a fan. One of the score marks, I did it the opposite way. That's when that last scoring part there, that's when I had to correct that because I wanted, you see, I folded one way, then I go the opposite way and fold it, and then the other way again and fold it. And then I went with a bone folder on top of it all and folded it again just to make sure that it was all nice and straight. Then I cut the excess of cardstock And then I went ahead and glued the open parts of this sort of fan. The idea of this is to create a hinge because I want the front panel to be able to open. And the open part of the hinge is what's going to be facing the inside of the card. I actually waited a little and put a heavy book on top of it and before adhering it to the front panel or to the second front panel. I think this card actually has two front panels. Then I use my creative tape to adhere this hinge on the yellow, I'm going to call it like that, on the yellow front panel. And make sure when you do this that your hinge is facing the way it should. I actually made the mistake once that I glued it or adhered it to the opposite way and had to repeat the process again. Just make sure that it's aligned to the edge, and you can do this from the top or from the side. And see, you see how I open it up um, on the side, just to make sure that the hinge or the open aspect of this hinge was in the inside of the card. Then I use creative tape again to adhere the laminating pouch or the clear panel. And honestly, the best way to do this is with tape. I don't think the glue will work, or the liquid glue will work really well for this. And then just adhere it or align it and adhere it, of course, to the hinge. This is a little bit of a tricky part because this creative tape, if you've ever used it, it's very, very sticky. If you make a mistake, it's really hard to fix. So I figured that doing it this way, horizontally, will be best. And there you go. Now, this strip here in the front is going to be covered by another piece of cardstock. You can use the same cardstock of the hinge. In this case, I didn't. I used the yellow one or the mustard one. And again, adhere with a creative tape or adhesive tape. This is double-sided tape. And any brand I think that you have will work. And just adhere that piece. Just to cover, I guess it really is to cover the tape. Now I gotta be honest, once I did this, I realized I was not happy with the hinge in this vanilla color, but I decided to leave it like that. I'll give you some tips how you can change that if it happens to you. And this is just a basic A2 card base, and I adhere the entire panel on this card base. What you can do for the hinge, if it happens to you that you regret or you're not happy with the choice that you made, and you could basically just color it with watercolors or Copic markers, or actually use a cardstock matching the color of the second panel. This sentiment is from the same stamp set, Thinking of You. I really like the fonts of this stamp set, the fonts of the sentiments of this stamp set. I adhere it right there at the top. I didn't want to add any more dimension. I could have used foam tape, a thin foam tape, but I didn't want to use. And I wasn't sure at this point if I wanted to add the embellishments in the front or in the inside or in the clear panel. So I gave it a test and decided to just keep the ones from the front, and just honestly just a few of them were enough for me to create that sort of pop that the card needed. And here it is. This is the entire project. It's very simple, but just this clear panel, that's everything. Here I am showing you the hinge. It's not terrible, but like I said, if you're not happy, you can color it or you can use another cardstock. I also made another panel that I turned into a shaker card. So another clear panel that I turned into a shaker card. And I stamp the sunflowers on craft paper and color them just with color pencils. I hope you enjoy this technique and I hope you give it a try. Thank you so much for watching. This is Monica from Needle and Paper. See you next time.